press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, welcome back to your English class. Today we are going to continue the lesson that we stopped, Colors of Silence, taken from the National Book Trust of India. Alright, so we dealt about the characters. We saw Satish, we saw his brother Inder, Satish's friend Surendra, and their father Mr. Avtar Naren. Alright, so what has happened to Satish? As what we discussed in the previous class, he is ill and he is not able to come to school. Alright, he is not able to come to school, and that is why his friend comes to inquire. Who is that? Surendra comes to inquire about Satish as to what has happened, and the story of how Satish got ill is narrated. That is, they went on a holiday to Kashmir, and there he slipped and he fell from a rickety bridge, and that's how he had injured himself. Then he used to get bouts of fever. Now I am picking out words from the text so that you, when I say it repeatedly, you ingrain it in your brain. Alright? So he was getting bouts of fever, okay, period of illness continuously. After a break, he used to again get fever back again. So bouts of fever, and he was confined to bed. Now when everything happened, he could hear less, and what did the doctors say? The doctors only could find a solution for it, saying that it was because of the medicines given for his leg. His legs became weak, isn't it? Fragile, weak. And the doctor said it's only because of the medicine that is given for his leg. He has a lot of ear infection that is going on. So continuing on page number 143, please follow your copies as I read. 13, paragraph number 13, that's paragraph number 12 is where we stopped. So we are going to continue with paragraph number 13, alright. Moving on. Due to his frequent absence and his hearing problem, the school he was attending till then informed his father, Mr. Avtar Naren, that they couldn't keep Satish. Now what has happened to Satish, and what has the headmaster said? Due to his absence. Now Satish was frequently absent, isn't it? He used to never be present always, but he used to continuously be absent. And the headmaster told his father, Mr. Avtar Naren, that they cannot keep Satish in school because of his absence. Now you need your presence. You can be absent to school for some days, not the whole year, isn't it? Not every time, as and when you want, you cannot be absent to school. So that's what was happening with Satish, but Satish cannot be blamed because it was his illness. But the headmaster made it very clear that they cannot keep Satish in school anymore. Alright? We will have to look for a new school, his father said. So what did Satish's father say? That they will have to look for a new school. They will have to find a new school for Satish now. Satish shook his head saying, no. He said, no, I cannot go to any other school. Now why Satish said no? Let's see. He didn't want to go to school where he couldn't talk to other children, where everyone would make fun of his deafness. So why didn't Satish want to go? Satish didn't want to go because he didn't want to be in company of friends who would make fun of him, who would bully him, okay, who would say jokes or make jokes on him, especially on his deafness that is there, lack of hearing, deafness, alright. So where he couldn't talk to other children, one basic thing is he didn't want to go where he cannot talk to other children, that is his classmates, and he didn't want to be in a place where everybody would make fun of him, everybody would bully him, okay. Understand the word bully, B-U-L-L-Y, okay. That is make fun, tease others, okay, bully, where everybody make fun of his deafness. So that much you understood. Beta, you have to go to school and learn. So what did his father say? My son, beta, my son, you will have to go to school and learn. You cannot be sitting at home like this. So what will you do in life if you don't get education? So what does the father say? Beta, you have to go to school, but if you don't go to school, what will you do without education? Father is questioning whom? Father is questioning Satish. He asked his son. Satish heard snatches of his words, but knew what he was saying. So whatever the father asked now father has asked a question, isn't it? If you don't go to school, what will you do? Or if you don't get education, what will you do? Now Satish heard snatches of his words, that is not fully, but bare minimum, little of his words. But Satish could understand what his father was saying, because you can see your lips moving. So to the movement of the lips, Satish could figure out what his father was really trying to say. After a lot of persuasion, he finally agreed to go along to the new school. Now, persuasion is a new word for you. Persuasion is I'm trying to convince somebody, okay? I'm trying to tell my opinion to somebody and making them feel that, okay, this is the right thing to do. I'm convincing, okay? Persuasion. After a lot of persuasion, he finally agreed to go to the new school. So who was persuading whom? Father was persuading his son in order to go to school and get an education. And Satish, after hearing a lot of things like that, after a lot of persuasion, he finally agreed to go to his new school. But this school didn't want him for a reason. Now, when they went for admission, the headmaster or the headmistress said, no, we don't want this boy. They didn't want him for one reason. Let's see what that reason is. This is a school for normal boys. So it was a boys' school, and the head of the institution said, no, this is a school for normal boys. We don't take deaf, dumb, okay? We don't take people who are, I'm not getting the word anyway. This is not for boys who are not normal, okay? When I get the word, I will tell it to you. Why don't you take your son to the school for deaf and dumb children? So what did the head of the institution say? Why don't you take your son where they train these children who are deaf and dumb? Why don't you take to an aided school like that? Okay, the head of the institution, okay, asked the headmaster of the school. So headmaster asked this, why don't you take Satish to a school where they train deaf and dumb children? Okay, deaf and dumb children. Asked the headmaster of the school bluntly. Okay, being blunt is being straightforward. Okay, you're not worried about anything that's happening, but you're straight away saying your words, that is saying it bluntly. Now, who said it bluntly? The headmaster said it bluntly. He didn't think about what will happen to Satish and his father or their thoughts. But he said, why don't you take, we cannot take your son, but why don't you take your students, your child or your ward there? Avatar Naren was angered. Okay, so father was very angry with what the headmaster said, because he said this is for normal boys, and father was not ready to accept that his boy is not normal. Okay, he felt my child is my child and my child is normal in any way that is possible, but the headmaster had no regards for it, and he was very blunt, he was very straightforward in what he said. Moving on to page number 144. My son is not dumb, sir. So Mr. Avatar Naren tells the headmaster, my son is not dumb. Okay? My son is not dumb. My son is not bad. My son is equally normal than the other children. His hearing is a little bad. He can speak, but only he cannot hear as clearly as other children can. Little bad, okay? His hearing is little bad. Now these are the words of Avatar Naren to the headmaster. He is under treatment and will soon be fine. So the father says he is undergoing treatment, and in the course of time he will adapt to it and he will become fine. He argued, but in vain. The father is arguing with the headmaster, but everything went in vain. That is, he didn't get any profit out of it. He didn't get any result out of it. Only his words were put out, but they never mattered to the headmaster. Other schools had the same to say. Now they kept on going from one school to the another, but every school, the headmaster of every school had to say the same thing: we don't take boys who are not normal. In despair, father and son returned home. So in sadness, in worry, father and son returned home. They came back home. Though Avatar Naren felt shattered, he wouldn't give up hope. Okay, shattered is feeling helpless, hopeless. Now you are in a situation and when you don't get what you want, okay, or if there are things that you have planned and it doesn't happen, you feel shattered. Oh, it should have happened, yet it didn't happen. Shattered, okay, helpless, helplessness, hopeless, feeling hopeless. Though Avatar Naren felt shattered, he wouldn't give up hope. So Avatar Naren was feeling helpless because no school was accepting his child. Everywhere they got comments like this, that he is not a normal boy, and father could not take those comments discussed about his son. But he still didn't lose hope. He had faith in something. Okay. After the unsuccessful expedition to the schools, Satish became very moody. Now they have been going from one school to the another, continuously asking for an admission in each of these schools. But every school had to say them the same thing, that we cannot take your son. Now after the unsuccessful expedition to the schools, that is moving around from one place to another, you're having a journey, expedition, okay. They were unsuccessful with that journey that they did. After that, Satish became very moody because he didn't get accepted anywhere. There was unacceptance that was showed him that he is not a normal boy. Nobody accepted him for what he was, and that made him very moody, very sad. Okay, he didn't want to do anything after that. He couldn't talk freely with anyone because he was unable to hear a single word. Now Satish's problem of deafness is getting higher and higher. Now what's happening to him? He couldn't talk freely. Why he couldn't talk freely? Because he could not hear anything. Now he could not hear anything, and that is why his process of communication, that is whatever he had to say, was also stopped, and he could not communicate freely in a way where he could not express whatever they asked for. Now if you ask me, how are you? And if I cannot hear you anything, how will I respond to you? So Satish was feeling the same thing. Okay, he was feeling very miserable in this time. His brother Indra sat for hours with him and talked to him, teaching him words and pronunciation. So Indra was helping him do what? Indra was continuously talking to him so that his brother can be helped in the process of communication. Indra sat for hours after hours. Indra sat with Satish, talking to him, teaching him certain words and pronunciation. Okay, pronunciation of words. Unable to bear the taunts and teasing of the children in the neighborhood, Satish even avoided going out to play. Okay, so unable to bear the taunts. Now what's taunt? Now sometimes when you don't like something, or when you don't like some person, you indirectly tell something. Okay, that's a taunt. That is, if you don't like, I'm giving you a bare example, okay, usually happens. If you don't like someone and they have dressed up comfortably as they like, but you say, oh, they're looking very beautiful, isn't it? But it actually is a taunt. Okay, it actually is something that you don't like about. But they are comfortable in their own way. So we give indirect messages which will make the person feel bad if they understand. Okay, if they understand, it will make them feel bad. If they don't understand, it will not even bother to them. Alright, so children in the neighborhood were taunting Satish for his deafness. Maybe he cannot hear, okay, such a poor boy, something like that. So what Satish did? He stopped going out to play too. He didn't want to do any of these activities. His father and Indra spent time with him every day, talking to him, trying to teach him things. So father and the brother Indra, they were sitting with him, talking with him for hours, teaching him something so that he doesn't feel lonely. If you want to get on in life, you have to read a lot, okay, and this is very apt even for you. If you want to get on in life, you have to read a lot. All right, take it very seriously, students. You'll have to read, okay. When you read, you explore. Even if you have not visited any cultures, or if you have not visited any countries, if you read, you get a virtual tour into that place. So Satish father also had to say something to Satish, saying that if you want to move on in life, if you want to be a successful person, then you will have to read a lot. Okay, reading doesn't mean only reading your textbook. You'll have to read apart from your text also, anything. Now, simple as that, you can read an article, you are almost grown up. Now, you can understand things that are there. Some words I know you may not understand. Some words are very difficult. Sometimes even I have to refer a dictionary, so nothing bad in that, okay. There are words that sometimes you may not know, but once you learn it, you will always remember it. So you may read short story books. Okay, I'm not asking you to read good or great novels that you will never understand. No, don't read them. Don't read them now. Read short stories that are there, fables are there, fairy tales are there. Okay, start reading if you find it really difficult in the beginning. And if you find it little easy, then read a story which is of 2-3 pages. You will find so many stories on the internet. Just put short stories, you will get them. Okay, so this is how you read. Okay, we'll move with Satish now. Okay, Satish giving him an armful of books. Alright, just give me a second. Okay, you can learn a great deal of things just by reading, his father told. Satish giving him an armful of books. Now, father said that statement, if you must read a lot, okay, you can learn a great deal of things just by reading. So, what did Satish father say? Even I will say the same thing to you. You can learn a great deal of things just by reading, okay. If your mind is filled with knowledge, then your knowledge will speak and not nuisance. So there's a saying, isn't it? Empty vessels make more noise. So don't keep your mind empty. If you are empty, you make more noise. If you are not empty, you don't make noise. Okay? As in to say, if you have knowledge, you live better, you speak better, you understand better, you can try to be successful in your own way. But if you have not learned anything, okay, if you have not learned any skills, if you have not learned to do anything, if you don't like reading, if you cannot sit with the book, there are audio texts that you can listen. Okay, they will read for you. You have to just listen. Sometimes visual is there. Okay, videos are there. Look at them. You will understand how you have to do it. So that's how you will have to explore or learn something that is interesting to you. Maybe science, maybe math. Okay, maybe anything that is interesting to you. So as you learn, you gain more knowledge, and knowledge can never be wasted. Never ever will your knowledge be wasted at any point of your life. Never. So remember that your knowledge will never make you fall down. Never. So you can learn great deal of things just by reading. His father told Satish, giving him an armful of books. Now father said that statement, you'll have to read a lot and you can learn by reading, and he gave him an armful of books. Okay, armful. Here when I hold like this, I have my armful of books. Satish leafed through them. Okay, Satish leafed through them, leafed through the books, a certain kind of phrase where you are reading each page carefully. Leaf. Okay, now one leaf of the page, I'm taking it, I'm reading it carefully. Leafed through the books. Okay, I don't think I need to write down, you can understand. Okay, now what are the books that his father gave him? The Life of Garibaldi, translated into Urdu by Lala Lajpat Rai, the works of Munshi Premchand, Sarath Chandra, and several others. Okay, now Garibaldi and Lala Lajpat Rai, freedom fighters. Okay, Munshi Premchand was a novelist. Alright, so these were the books that were given to him. Why do you think Satish father gave him to read life stories of freedom fighters? Maybe to know the struggles that they did, maybe to know that even after a difficult time there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, maybe to know that even after a difficult time there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, there are beautiful things that are going to come. Even after fighting a lot, you can always win. Need not lose your hope anytime. Okay, certain things like that. You can try to read Munshi Premchand. He's a nice writer. Okay, if you get a chance to, please read. If you have any libraries around you, or if you come back to school and if you check in your library, or if you have any government libraries in and around you, you can always go there. There are a lot of books in the government libraries. At least once in your lifetime, please go to a government library and see the amount of books that are there. At least see and come. If you don't want to read, at least see how many people are reading there inside and what are they reading and what kind of books are there. Have a tour towards the library at least once in your life, okay? And if you are appreciating it, if you are impressed by it, then continue to read. And I leave it to you. It's your interest. You may do as your interest says, okay? I don't force you. You can always learn things in your own way. Reading may be one way. Experimenting may be another way, okay? Talking and communicating another way. Then listening, okay, maybe another way. So whatever is interesting to you, please do. Okay, let's move on. It was as if a whole world opened out for him. Now once he started reading the books, he was leaving through the books, okay, leafed through the pages. What happened? He felt as if a whole new world was opened for him. That is, a different kind of world that he was expecting was opened for him. He didn't know about these things that were happening. Who didn't know? Satish didn't know about the things that were happening in and around him. But right now when he started reading, he felt, oh, these are the things that can happen. Oh, these are the things that are there, which I never knew, all right? Satish became a voracious reader. Now we have discussed the word voracious. If you remember, in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he was also an voracious reader. Like continuously reading, you are restless for it, okay? You don't want to stop. You don't want to stop, but you continuously read. You're hungry for knowledge, okay? You're hungry for knowledge. The books, however, were all serious works meant for older children and sometimes even for adults. So these books were not stories which were like Satish's story that is interesting for you, but stories that were for older children, not for smaller children. Satish was a young boy, isn't it? He was very small, and these books were meant for older children like you and for adults, okay? They made him feel depressed and left a deep impression upon his sensitive mind. So when he was reading, he used to feel low. He used to feel low because of his illness. He used to feel low because what was happening to him. He was feeling depressed. That is, I'm feeling low for what is happening to me. I'm feeling sad about my situation. And left a deep impression upon his sensitive mind. Okay? Now, as he was reading, the impact that the books had, or impact that the stories or the facts that were there in the book had on him, left a deep impression on his sensitive mind. Okay, they gave a deep impression. That is, now see, if you like some person, okay, you may take any person to be your inspiration. You may be your teachers, maybe your parents, maybe your siblings, older siblings, your grandparents, any person or any celebrity, any fighter, any politician that is there, anybody, okay, anybody for that matter. Now, when you are always following them, or when you look at their life, if there is a person who is very disciplined, who is very punctual, who is very loving, who teaches you certain things or values of life, when you are impressed by them, you tend to like them. Isn't it? When you tend to like them, you try to follow them. You try to at least gain some values like them. And whatever they tell you and whatever they do through their actions leaves an impression on you. That is, okay, now for example, if you have a teacher who you like, okay, everybody has their own favorite teachers. So if there is a teacher, think about him or her and think about how they have left a deep impression on you. As in to say, maybe with their words, if they have told you some pleasing, consoling, good words or motivating words, if they have helped you somewhere, if they have tried to show their life through their actions, if that has impressed you in any way, that will leave a deep impression on you. Now, even after so many years, if you go around, you will still remember that person and you will tell, okay, that person taught me like this. That person was there for me there. And because of that person, I have learned this. So, there is at least one person, at least one, you may have many, but at least one person you will remember for your lifetime, that because of that person, I learned it. Or because of that person, I am what I am today. So, that person has left a deep impression on you. Okay, I have impressed my thoughts on you and you are taking it forward like that. Okay, that's what happened to Satish was the books left a deep impression on him. And his sensitive mind, that is, his mind was very small. His thinking was not as what an adult could think. He was very small, he's such a small boy. His mind was very sensitive, very tender, very soft. But whatever he read left an impression on his mind that was there. That is, he was never going to forget what he had read. He came to know of another world through him, a world of suffering and anguish. Okay? Now, what did he come to know through the books that he read? He came to know a world that was of fear, world that had a lot of difficulties, much more difficult than what difficulty he was going through. Okay? Of worry, of restlessness. He came to know of that world that was there. Now, maybe if he was reading this freedom fighters have fought in their own way. They've all contributed to doing anything that is possible, but in their own way, isn't it? And that is how Satish came to know about the world's suffering through the books he read. Okay? He brooded long and hard about why there was so much suffering in the world while his own world looked comfortable in comparison. So he brooded, he was continuously thinking and thinking about why, about what was he thinking? He was thinking about why there is so much of suffering in the world, why there is no peace in the world. And he started comparing his difficulty with the difficulties that were happening in the world. And while he was comparing his difficulty along with the difficulties in the world, he felt that he is more comfortable in whatever difficulty he is. He is at least facing little difficulties, not as much as what is happening in the world. Okay, he started comparing his difficulty, and that's how he felt, okay, at least my difficulty is far better than what difficulty those people had and what difficulty is happening in the world. All right, so I think we can stop at this today. We will move on with 21 to 34 in the next class. Okay, so that's how we'll see how Satish overcomes his difficulties after he has come to know that there is a lot of difficulties in the world, after he has come to know that his difficulty is very small. His difficulty very small. We tend to brood, okay? We tend to brood in the sense we tend to continuously think, oh, I am in difficulty, I have done this, everything comes to me, I think. But there are 10 other people who have extra number of difficulties than you. So stop brooding is thinking continuously over it, all right? So that's how we can stop the story of Satish about his reading of books. In the next class, we'll continue what Satish does and how he tries to overcome it. Till then, if you have read the whole story, well and good, I appreciate it. If you have not read, I still appreciate it. Wait for me to finish the lesson. Either ways, you are always good, okay? Either ways, you're always good. As I finish the lesson, you will have to read the whole lesson. So, mark and underline and use those new words, okay? What I try and tell you is, use those new words as you communicate, and that's how you improve your vocabulary. Your vocabulary is really needed in any language for that matter. I'm not only talking about English. Any language you need vocabulary. If you don't know words, if you don't know the meaning of the words, you're not able to communicate it. So as it is in English, you will have to have a lot of words with you so that you can add synonyms and talk in various other situations that are there. Okay. Alright students, thank you very much. We shall meet soon in the next class.